You're with World Business Report from the BBC World Service. Let's head to Africa now, because President Bola Tinubu is in the UK on a landmark state visit, the first by a Nigerian leader in nearly 40 years, as London and Abuja push to deepen trade and investment ties. Now, one of the big announcements so far is an almost $900 million deal to upgrade two major Lagos ports, aimed at boosting Nigeria's trade capacity and also modernising its infrastructure. Now, this all comes at a time when Nigeria's vast gas reserves, the largest on the continent, are becoming even more strategically important in this sort of volatile global energy climate that we're seeing. So what does this moment mean for one of Nigeria's key oil-producing states? Well, earlier I spoke to the governor of Akwa Ibom, Umo Eno.
The visit, is an historical one, the first in 37 years to renew bilateral relationship with the UK, and we're just looking forward to improvements in our trade relationship. And this morning, they signed an MOU and an agreement on the port development in Lagos. We hope this will continue to open up our trade and increase, of course, the GDP of the country as Nigerians. And that's certainly what we look out for. We also had the opportunity to meet some investors that have expressed strong interest in coming into Nigeria. Of course, this visit is going to strengthen that kind of investors' confidence in the country.
Who are the investors that you've met with? What kind of industries are they from?
Basically in the energy sector and port development.
Are they from businesses that we would have heard of?
Yes, I would think so, but that when you're talking to people, there are investors in the room and they ask questions, and we just hope to follow up with the Minister of Trade.
Okay, so you don't know which companies that they're from?
Not that we know right now.
Okay, and so Akwa Ibom, the state that you oversee as one of Nigeria's key oil-producing states, how are you hoping it will benefit from this visit directly?
For us in Akwa Ibom, we will be keen into both. As we go back home, we'll be able to have this conversation with the ministers, and we would like to discuss more in terms of Deep Seaport, which we are trying to develop, and of course, the energy sector. Nigeria right now has decentralized energy to subnationals where we can generate our own electricity and even distribute. And that's interesting because we'll want to know how we can continue discussion with these investors and see how we can partner together.
What do you think that investors will find challenging? Because previously, investors have talked about sort of foreign exchange challenges, for example. Is there something different now that would convince them to commit capital?
But foreign exchange today is not so much of a challenge because you can now repatriate funds with the advent of the Tinubu administration. And for us in the southern part of the country, we are relatively stable, so you don't have the security threat. The business environment is conducive. And I believe that they wouldn't really have much that would want to be something to really worry about.
Okay, and you alluded there to this renewed focus on ports and infrastructure. What's quite specifically different this time? Because we've had several announcements in the past about a renewed focus on ports and infrastructure. What's different now in terms of execution and delivery?
The difference is the visit. This visit is very significant because there is pen to paper. And with the president making this commitment on behalf of the country, I believe strongly that this will make a difference. Like I said, it boosts investors' confidence.
And how does that then trickle down to the people in your state? What difference will it make to them?
We have 19-meter drought deep seaport in our state that we've been looking for investors to partner with to develop that seaport. And we also want to take advantage of the decentralization of the electricity market. And those are two very strategic investments that will need partners. And that was discussed today, and we hope to take full advantage of that to progress that discussion in terms of specifics now and numbers.
And just a quick question on the broader oil price. Clearly, we're reaching rather high levels in terms of price per barrel. Where does that put Nigeria and your state specifically as an oil producing state and country?
Right now, everyone is experiencing the hike that has brought into the industry the cost of PMS and other petroleum products. And that is one of the disadvantages of the war. And we join other peace-loving nations of the world to call for an end of this war. And it's only in terms of peace that everyone can benefit.
That was the governor of the Akwa Ibom State, Umo Eno.